guys, back at the shop. As you can tell, the car's done. You guys missed out on everything. Full interior, got our seats in. I'm just fucking with you. This is my buddy Mike's car. S14, it's a SR. We lucked out. I have to build mine. It is what it is. Anyways, let's get back in the shop and see what we got going on. So I think we left off. We did the turbo, we did the fuel. Today we're just going to be doing some miscellaneous stuff. We got some tires we got to mount. I had to reseal my front, so I threw some new silicone on there. This was leaking. We got the alternator on. Alternator with just a fan on, the belt. In the last video I showed you the alternator mounting bracket. I had to order a new LS alternator, one from a GTO, but it ended up working out. So yeah, like I said, today we're going to be doing some tires. So basically we're going to throw some new rears on here. We're going to let the air out of this, mount some tires, and throw you guys into time lapse. So yeah.
Like that.
Alright, now we're going to hook in our oil feed line. First, you gotta get a 4AN adapter that goes into the block. It's going to go right about here. Okay, we'll tighten that up. Next, get your oil feed line. Should be a -4 that goes into the turbo up here. And so we're going to connect the straight end to the block. Let's do that real quick. Alright, so I got a 2-foot line, so which happens to be perfect. And then I'm going to connect that to the turbo up here. Make sure you have the right size restrictor in here. I believe it's 0.032 you want for the G series turbo. And that would be the whole size. So that's your turbo oil feed line. So we got that done. We're going to leave it loose so we can still get to these other fittings we got here. Next, let's do our oil drain, which would be on the bottom side of the turbo here. You can't really see it, but trust me, it's down there. So basically, you gotta use, well, you don't gotta use, but I'm going to be using a 10AN line. So I'm gonna go with a 10AN straight out of here, straight down, wrap around, and then it goes down into there. Now I have a 90 on there, which I found out wasn't going to work. So I actually have a 45 I'll be switching that out with. So we gotta make our own AN line, which is actually very easy. I'll show you guys how to do that real quick. So first, you buy your fittings, buy your line, get you enough of it. This is like 6 feet of line, so this is way more than enough. It's nice to have some left over. So next, you're going to be putting on your AN fitting on the end here. How the fitting goes, you're going to want to first slide this part here right over the line. Okay. So you can push that all the way in. As far as it can go, it'll hit like the bottom of the threads there. See the line in there? Okay. Next, you can take your other end here, which I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this one-handed, but you take your other end here, stuff it in, make sure you're not pulling this fitting off. You're gonna stuff it into this line, and then also while tightening the fitting into the hose. Okay, but you kind of need 2 hands because you're stuffing it in and spinning that at the same time. So it takes a little bit of force, but it's very easy to do. Also, I like to put a line of tape on the bottom here to make sure I don't lift this fitting off any. So you'll see I'll wrap a thing of tape down here to make sure this fitting doesn't move. There you go. So that's one end done. Take your tape off. Next, we can bolt this up to the bottom of the turbo and then see how much line we need to make it to our next fitting. Mark it, cut it, put our fitting on the other end, and then we can move on to the next line. Okay, we got that screwed into the bottom here. Let's see how long we need this line. We got our other fitting down there, see our 45, which fits perfect. All right, we got our spot marked here where we're gonna cut it. Before we cut it, we're actually gonna tape this up. So when we cut it, because we're gonna be cutting it with a cutting wheel on the grinder, so the ends don't fray out, and then we'll be able to slide the other fitting on there easier. So I'll show you that right now. All right, we got our end marked here. Now we're just gonna cut that. All right, we got our line made. It's our oil drain line. Let's put this on. So basically cut this loose. We can just spin this around. All right, that's where the oil drain line goes on. All right, that line fit absolutely perfect. So we got room between the steering shafts and the line down there. Plenty of room. 45 worked out perfect. Still got room to put our wastegate in here. All right, let's make another line. So we have the coolant inlet and then the coolant outlet over here. Okay. So these are going to be -6 AN lines. So we bought a kit, but these will not work because they are way too long and they had the wrong angled fittings on them. So I should have just bought some straight -6 line to begin with and the fittings and just made them, but it's fine. We're actually going to reuse these. Yeah, we got the old straight off. We're going to put a 45 on here. And we have someone to hold the camera now, so that is tremendous. Wonderful. Love to see it. All right, I didn't want to bore you guys with making more AN lines. Basically, we made an AN line that goes from here to the block and then put a nice heat sleeve over it. So that would be the coolant inlet to the turbo. And then we have the coolant outlet to the turbo, which goes up and into the water neck. And then the other lines, of course, which I already showed you, but turbo oil feed and then turbo oil drain, which goes back there. So, turbo lines, turbo oil and coolant lines are done. What we got next?
A lot to go.
Yeah. So obviously turbo lines are done. This is the routing I went with. So I'm not saying it's the only way you can go, but it seems to be my best bet with this artec manifold. So it actually worked out pretty well. So next we can do our wastegate. It's gonna go down here on that tube. We went with Turbo Smart hypergate 45. Yeah, we'll get that mounted up and then we can start working on the exhaust side of the wastegate. All right, so we're gonna get our wastegate on there. Got this nice Johnson here. We got our V-band. Okay. Probably gonna want that on that side. All right, we got the wastegate mounted. Basically, we want the outlet of the wastegate to go between the steering shaft and the frame rail here. So I'm aiming for the center. If I can get it to focus. I'm aiming for the center of this gap right here. So we got this pipe here. We're gonna cut it in half to begin with and then go from there. See how it looks. All right, we got our pipe cut. Got our V-band that we're gonna be welding the pipe to. Like so. Let's see how good that fits in there. So we're aiming for that gap. It's tough to see, but I think that's just about perfect. We got about a finger width gap there, about a finger width gap there. So we're gonna get this welded up. Perfect. Perfect. On point. There she is, all welded up. See if she still fits. I'm gonna let her cool a little bit. I don't want to get my bosses in there yet. Alright, we got the wastegate tube here welded up, cut to the right length. Get her mounted on there. So I say we want that facing up. I'm not doing one of those. That goes on there. Head on there. All right, I'm gonna call it a successful day in the shop. We got the turbo lines on. We got wastegate on. Wastegate dump in. There's actually a lot more clearance here than you could, and it looks on the phone, but there's at least a finger on both sides, so that's good. And then yeah, we'll work on that exhaust in the next video here. Work on our downpipe. We're waiting on some parts, so that's gonna do it for this video, but she's getting there slowly but surely. Looks good. So I'll see you guys in the next one.